Jeff in California wants to talk about, well, maybe this segues pretty well, Matt. He wants to talk about how God is more than what's in the Bible. So maybe we can get some extra clarification from Kevin's call here. You are on with Matt and Mike.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Mike. Hey, guys. Yeah, what I think is, I kind of feel like, the God as represented in the Bible, I feel like that has been largely debunked by, all the things that you guys always talk about. I watch your YouTube channels all the time, and I agree with everything that you say for the most part, but, I feel like what I feel like God is, it's certainly not the bullshit you read in the Bible, where guy lived the Moses flood and Adam and Eve and all that garbage. I don't believe any of that, and but I still think that what God is like, the physical properties that exist in nature, why gravity acts the way it does. And all the combination of those forces are why, like, a north magnet attracts to a south magnet, or, all the physical features. I feel like that's kind of what God is. And does that make sense? Or am I just you think I'm just kind of fooling myself? Because,
I call it God.
Human.
I have no problem accepting that gravity works the way it does, and that there's uniformity and order, without calling it God. This combination of forces. What's the justification for saying, here are the things we understand about physics, and I'm also going to claim that it's God? What justifies adding that label?
Well, I suppose I guess there really isn't. It doesn't have to be. I mean, on the one hand, I feel like it doesn't have to be labeled, but on the other hand, I kind of feel like the combination of all the properties. I think it's kind of human nature that you need to have a definition for. That people just.
Stop, Jeff. I'm only concerned. Do you actually believe that there is a God?
I don't believe that there's a God in the sense that, what most of these callers call about with the God of the Bible. I don't believe the God of the Bible, just like I don't believe in Zeus.
Well, Jeff, define it. Jeff, don't define it in negation from what other people believe. Define what it is that you believe.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I feel like what I think, what I think God is the culmination of all of the the properties of physics and biology and all that stuff combined is basically. I mean, I guess you don't really need to have a definite. I mean, I guess there's no reason to believe that there's an entity. I don't believe that there is like an entity of God that is God, but I feel like you almost need.
Does this? Let me help you out. Does this? Jeff, when you talk about this God, do you have a state of intentionality or consciousness to it? Because if you're just describing things in physics, or look at stellar nucleosynthesis or something, and that's so crazy and that's so cool, which it is, by the way, I suggest everyone go research. That's very interesting stuff. I don't see why you call it that, why you add this extra assumption or ontology to it, or aspects of metaphysics. I don't get that, because it's not needed. The predictions you derive from it don't need that extra assumption. It sounds like you're just saying, I want to believe in X because it's so vastly or it's so much more than my understanding, and so I'm adding something to it. I don't see the justification for that.
No, I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, I guess maybe it's just your innate human being is I feel like you need to have, but I don't think that God is some benign being that's gonna forgive everything and everything like that. I mean, if it happens, if God forgives everything, God forgives everything. That's great. He'll forgive me if I don't believe all the bullshit that I've been.
Well, so I'm not focused on any of that. You're focusing on like the things that the properties this thing has. I care about like the actual ontological basis of this claim, like whether this thing is a thing, or if you're just saying
it's not like you or anybody else is saying that the composite of the laws of physics could save us or forgive us. I mean, that's nonsense. So you've gone from something where you want to put a God label on something where I'm trying to find out why it's justified, just saying maybe it'd be, maybe if there's a God and it's going to forgive us, that might be nice. Well, I don't know that I need or want forgiveness, but I don't see how the laws of physics could forgive us. So it's like you're jumping from one thing to another, and you got down to this, well, maybe there's an innate need to have this. Yes, but whether or not there's an innate need in humans to apply a bullshit label to something that they don't understand doesn't tell us anything at all about whether or not the thing is true. And all I care about is true. If you're just like, hey, let's, fire up the bong and talk about, could the laws of physics be considered a God? Well, sure, anything could be considered a God. The question is, why are you adding that label to it? It's like if nobody had ever presented the notion of a God agent and you just learned about physics, you wouldn't apply the God label to it. It's not like you'd look at, photosynthesis and say, clearly that process in plants is also a thinking agent governing the universe that, nobody would do that. And what it is not an innate thing in humans. It is you have grown up in a culture where most people believe in a God, and where they look at the people who don't believe in God as if they are inferior, as if they are wrong, as if they are reprobates. And rather than acknowledging you are one of those people who they want to look down upon, you want to find a way to say, well, I don't believe in a God like that, but I can believe in a God in a different way. Why? Why the fuck would anybody believe in a God? Why would we care to, unless there's reason to think that agent actually exists?
That makes a lot of sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But let me ask you something else. I mean, well, I've got you. I mean, like I was raised Catholic, right? And I haven't gone to church for at least 10 years on a regular basis. But I kind of feel like, my parents are like Shia Catholic. They're like crazy Catholic, right? And so do you think it's wrong for me? I mean, whenever I see them, I still go to church. And I feel like that's just the easier way to go. But, I mean, I feel the way that you guys seem to present things, like there's really no need for a God. So, and I think that's probably why I try to push, the laws of nature or whatever and group that into a God. I mean, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And so I'm just kind of, do you think it's wrong for me to even go to church? I mean, I just feel like it's the path of least resistance than trying to go out to my parents and say, hey, you guys are, all the stuff that you guys have been believing in your whole life, I think that's a bunch of bullshit, and I think you guys should realize that it's a bunch of bullshit too.
I'm interested to hear JMike's take on this. Because mine's really easy. I have no problem at all going to church. And if my parents asked me to go to church, I would probably go with them, provided they know that it wasn't some subterfuge or something. And they know that I absolutely think they believe unwarranted, irrational garbage. But I'm not afraid to go to church. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I've been an atheist for a long time. When I was like 15 or 16, I dated a girl for like 2 years and went to church with her every Sunday, even though I didn't believe. Parents knew I was an atheist, and I had no problem with that. I think it's weird if you had hesitance to it, or maybe if you're an anti-theist or something, you just really don't like it. But if it's in the sake of your family, like my mom's Catholic, my dad's Catholic, but if it was the opportunity for me to only see them through church, I would take that opportunity. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but you don't have to. I mean, is there any reason to butt heads? I don't see a reason just to do it for the sake of it. I feel like some people, especially a lot of atheists, might have guilt in doing this. It's like you have a new T-shirt on, you want to go show everybody. it's like, well, not everybody really cares. And if it's not reciprocated by the other person, then there's really no point of bringing that up. I mean, but yeah, I would say I don't see any problem with it.
So you don't think that, I mean, it just seems like there's not much of it just seems like it doesn't really accomplish anything. If I come out to them, I feel like it's almost like I'm coming out like I'm telling them I'm gay or something like that.
No, you're not talking about something different, Jeff. I mentioned that I would be willing to go to church because my parents already know what I believe. That's very different from that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't think my parents don't think, they think that I go to church regularly. And I mean, I don't tell them I go to church regularly, but I don't see them that often. I just saw my parents the first time in over a year. But I mean, so I don't actively have a conversation with them about how I think that I think that their beliefs are wrong. Yeah, I talk to them about that politically. I tell them their beliefs are wrong all the time. So Then the question you're asking is, should you remain closeted?
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
well, that's entirely up to you. I don't get to make a decision for anybody else because I don't know the impact of it. And for me, the question is always, if it's unsafe, if it's risky for you, your life, your health, your happiness, etc., then you're under no obligation to do so. Although you may be under moral obligation if in fact there's no risk to you and there would be a benefit, but that's a sideline. My view is this: you come out the moment you are unwilling to continue having someone think you are someone you are not. I had to. Now, granted, I was forced out, but my plan was to come out because I don't want people to like me or dislike me based on someone I'm not. That happens often enough, even with me being honest. People assume I'm something I'm not frequently, and then either like me or dislike me. But I definitely don't want someone to say to sit there and think, oh, Matt's this blah blah blah, and he's going to church and all this other stuff. I don't want them to think lies about me. I'd rather, if their view of me is that Matt's an atheist and therefore I can't like him, I'd rather know that, and I'd rather be surrounded by people who know me and care about me for me. But that's your call. No,
you're telling me stuff that I know is right. You're telling me stuff that I know in my mind. I mean, I can fool myself and lie to myself and tell myself whatever I want to tell myself. But that's just kind of how it's difficult for me to say I'm an atheist. But I mean, by pure definition, if I don't believe anything that has been presented to me as being what God is, I guess that makes me an atheist. But it just seems like it's difficult to admit that, I guess. And I don't really know that many people that I would come out to or whatever. I feel like coming out sounds like a different story altogether. But I mean, I just kind of, I don't know.
Well, I'll put my experience when I came out to my parents was like 14 or 15, and I was pretty terrified to mention it, because even hearing the word atheist while I was trying to read things and figure out what I believed in, unfortunately my brain was cursed with caring about these things at a very early age, so I was very serious about it at an early age. But even the word atheist would make my stomach drop when I would hear people say it, because of certain norms and certain things that just I grew up with, not from my family or anything, but school and things like that. But I can tell you from my experience, and similar to what Matt's saying, having my parents know who I am and not hiding that, which is a very big thing, was very liberating for me. And I think we have, in this aspect, I think we obviously will have a great relationship regardless, but in this aspect of it, there's never been a butting of the heads, because we were just honest about it. Now, you're not going to get, my parents aren't your parents, and I'm not expecting you to get the same treatment, but only that, and you're going to have to decide that. But I will tell you how how beneficial it is for me. And now I don't have to worry about that, because in fact, when I talk to people about it, they seem intrigued because they question these things and they don't feel like they can talk to people. They feel like they're trapped. They feel like they don't have people they can reach out to. So just hearing one atheist, something like that, might break the ice for them to go, shit, maybe this isn't weird, and maybe I shouldn't feel this way about it. I know that worked for me, at least. So,
although next time you call into the show, you'll have to let the call screener know that you're an atheist, not a theist, because you don't need to lie to us.
Well, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to lie, saying I was.
I know.
Like I was saying, is I was conceiving the concept of God, and when I told her, I said, I guess I'm a theist, but because I think that God, I was thinking that God is basically, it's not what you read in the Bible. It's the basic.
I got it, Jeff. It was just a joke.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, we appreciate the call. We only got a few more time. I'm gonna get some announcements here, but
I understand.
Yeah, no problem. But hey, we appreciate your call.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys talking to me about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Have a good one. All right, I'm gonna get into my favorite time of the show, and that is specifically because of one person. But I want to announce the Patreon supporters, which are patrons, not Patreons. I hear people say that all the time, and it's weird to me. But the patrons, we have Eric Tweet, CJ Dennis, Dingleberry Jackson, which I love, and I just hope that he stays a Patreon for me.
I always want to say, I always want to hear you say it like Leroy Jenkins, kind of.
Yeah, I did. I think I did last week with Johnny, but I don't want to give special privileges. I like Balaam's donkey as well, which is number 4, and then 5 is Paul Leah, and then the honorary mention for today is going to be, or again, actually, the Great North American Dingolo. So we thank you for being patrons and supporting us, and anyone else that wants to do so, you can go to patreon.com/talkheathen to me. Very, very much appreciated.